Alright, folks. Last week, if you watched episode 39, you saw that we were booked in a fantasy warfare match. Well, guess what? This isn't episode 39 anymore. This is episode 40, which means you're going to get the results from said match from this man who's booking/reffing this match. Take it away, Mr. Colt.
I will indeed. Yes, last week we made a 60-minute Iron Man match between the rated R superstar Edge taking on the lunatic fringe Dean Ambrose. This was a really interesting match to try and figure out, just because, you know,
Bryce Rumsberg is the special guest.
Yes,
referee.
Bryce Rumsberg as the special guest referee. It was very difficult to find stuff for this match because Ambrose has been in a couple Iron Man matches while he was in FCW. Edge has never been in one, there was a lot of things to weigh as far as these two competitors go. But before I get into my results, I have a tentative winner picked. But I'm going to give both of you guys the option to give me your final notes as to why you think your person...
Closing arguments.
Yeah, there we go. That's the word I was looking for. Your closing arguments as to why your particular wrestler should have won. And since I had you pick first when choosing wrestlers, I'm going to have Mr. Thomas Wolfe. You tell me first why Dean Ambrose should win the 60-minute Iron Man match.
Alright. Well, I picked Dean Ambrose specifically because I want to see him go against Edge. I want to be clear about that. Because in any type of match, these two could tear each other apart, would tear each other apart, and would tear the house down. You know, it's this idea that they'll both do anything to win. They'll both even sacrifice themselves. So, you know, any match, you know, they could go in a ladder match, straight up hardcore match, freaking barbed wire ropes match, and just fucking murder each other.
Yeah, Ambrose will win that one, I think.
But this one's an Iron Man match, which puts a different slant on things. It's not like who can outdo the other one so much as it is who can outlast the other one. And so I thought long and hard about it, and I decided that Dean Ambrose can't win.
Whoa, okay. Swerve?
With how reckless he is, and how clever Edge is, Dean Ambrose is going to end up hurting himself in the early goings way more than he'll hurt Edge. His only chance is to cause enough injury to Edge that he can't last in the final minutes of the match. So, I don't think Dean Ambrose can win this match.
Okay. Well,
I rest my case.
That was not what I was expecting, but just for the fun of it, Mr. Kevin Hawk, why would Edge win a 60-minute Iron Man match against Dean Ambrose?
Well...
And not because Thomas said so.
Just move
and that's
your lips.
the bottom line, because Thomas Wolfe said so.
No, just move your lips and we'll just play the audio of what I said.
No, see...
And I'll look really intrigued while you say it.
I have this theory here. Edge is a high-stakes player. If you look at a lot of the matches he's known for, TLC matches, ladder matches, a Hell in a Cell match.
Elimination Chamber.
He's been in Elimination Chamber multiple times. And, hardcore matches like the Mick Foley WrestleMania match. So I have the feeling, Edge is very quality over quantity. And, he's tough. And he can go. But like you said, there's no record of Edge doing Iron Man matches previously. It's hard to tell if Edge can go the distance as far as 60 full minutes of wrestling versus, TLC match, super tough, entertaining, but that's 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
As opposed to an hour long of, having to be grappling the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I was actually giving Dean Ambrose the edge. Because he had previously had experience in FCW wrestling different Iron Man matches or Iron Man style matches.
What fucking world are we in right now?
So I think Dean Ambrose is going to win this match.
Okay. Are you serious? Or are you just trying to copy what Thomas said?
He rests his case.
Alright, well, it's a good thing I didn't ask you guys first, because that would have made my decision that much more difficult. So instead of, looking through past matches that they've had, as far as, watching how much they're able to outlast, even though I did a little bit of that, but not as much as I normally would when trying to pick a winner for Fantasy Warfare. What I did is I decided to get other opinions from other wrestling fans and a couple wrestlers themselves. So I initially asked 3 different of my close personal wrestling friends who they thought would win this particular match. And all 3 of them, at different times, all were in favor of one person. Then I took to Facebook and I asked 3 independent wrestling stars who they thought would win this match.
One of them was John Moxley.
I wish. And when asking them, it was 2-1 in favor of the opposite person that the fans chose. I was like, okay, well, I've got a win for each side here. I'm going to have to consult the only way I can really break this down, and I went to WWE 2K14 and I played the match. I watched an hour-long video game match between Dean Ambrose and Edge. I didn't realize that they were actually very closely rated on that game. Edge is a 91 and Dean Ambrose is an 88, so I was expecting a much larger gap between their 2 ratings. So in the end of this hour-long Iron Man match, I've never even watched one of these on a game before, it came down to a 1 pinfall difference, where Edge, in the final minute, gave a spear and tied it up, and then immediately got into a sleeper hold and made Dean Ambrose tap out in the last minute, and Dean Ambrose didn't have enough time to actually gain the advantage towards the end. So, I mean, initially going into this, I thought Edge was going to win. But then I was like, well, Dean Ambrose does have that Iron Man experience. But when I watched Dean Ambrose's Iron Man matches, he purposely got himself disqualified 4 times in a 15-minute Iron Man match against Damian Sandow. He had a 15-minute Iron Man match draw with Seth Rollins, a 20-minute Iron Man match draw with Seth Rollins, and a 30-minute loss by 1 fall to Seth Rollins. So 4 different Iron Man matches, none of which he came out on top of. Edge has won multiple 20-plus minute matches, whether it was hardcore matches, fatal 4-ways. So I mean, it was hard. It was hard to really determine whether or not Edge could win this because he's only wrestled 1 fall to a finish matches.
Yep.
But with Dean Ambrose's inability to really focus on the match itself, it was already really swayed into Edge's favor just because, actually one of the wrestlers that I asked put it best. I talked to Hanson.
Okay.
And Hanson chose Edge specifically because, yes, Dean Ambrose is a lunatic, but can he go in lunatic mode for a straight hour and have that work into his advantage? Granted, Dean Ambrose did have Dasher Hatfield and the special guest referee Bryce Remsburg on his side.
That alone should have actually gave Dean Ambrose the win.
Yeah, Bryce Remsburg was a special guest referee. But so I'm saying, based off of purely speculatively then, that of the 6 people you asked, were obviously 4-2 in favor of Edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very overwhelming just because Edge is more versatile. Yes, they've both been in their fair share of, grueling, hardcore matches. Dean Ambrose, obviously a little bit more just because he did the deathmatch style stuff.
Yeah,
But that that allows his pain tolerance to maybe outlast Edge, but as far as conditioning in longer said matches, it works in favor of Edge because he has a greater win record as opposed to Dean Ambrose in those types of matches.
I mean, like I was alluding to, if you made this like a hardcore match, I could.
Oh, Dean
Ambrose all the way.
It would absolutely go in Dean Ambrose's favor.
But it's just Dean Ambrose. It would be similar to putting Jeff Hardy in an Iron Man match. Like,
yeah, he would take the unnecessary risks.
Yeah,
and it would probably cost.
And it'll pay off. One fall, two falls, but then, then you're 20 minutes into the match, and you just fucking took yourself out. You did like 50 damage to yourself to do 25 damage to your opponent.
Yeah. And for the record, I did have interference on in the game. There was no interference from either the Shield or Christian.
Christian was afraid of the Shield.
neither party had.
The Shield was just standing there.
They're waiting for Christian. There's two of us.
Christian was going to interfere, and they just like stood there and looked at him for an hour.
They stared at each other in gorilla, like, "Are you gonna do it?"
That's all it was. On the stage, you had the Iron Man match going on in the ring, but on the stage you had Roman Reigns and Christian involving in an hour-long Iron Man staring contest.
What was Seth Rollins doing?
He was refereeing the staring
okay,
contest.
Gotcha.
Somebody had to be there to count blinks.
He was waiting to cash in his Money in the Bank on the winner of the staring contest.
Money in the blink.
And Dean Ambrose was the only person that bled. Edge delivered an execution on the outside and busted Dean Ambrose open.
Hey.
So, there you have it. Edge taking the win in the 60-minute Iron Man match. Congratulations, Kevin Hawk. Another win under your belt. But that is it for fantasy. Well, if you had one, you'd have a win under it. It's there's a win under your waistband.
Oh, hey. All right. I got a couple of those now.
Yeah.
I was doing really bad at first.
Yeah, you were.
First, but then...
not as bad as me.
Yeah, he was completely defeated. You were kind of like...
in the middle.
I think you were like about 50%. We'll have to go back and...
And you were like...
I was winning.
He was undefeated.
I was winning, and then I lost the last two.
I had never won, and then you, I guess, beat me and then didn't beat him. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So next month, I believe you'll be the referee.
Yes.
Yes. So it'll be me versus Kevin Hawk. What?
In a murder match.
I'm picking homicide.
Sabu. New Jack. Picking New Jack.
You son of a bitch.
Sabu Jack.
No. That is not something that should enter this world. That is terrifying. That is it for Fantasy Warfare. Be sure to click...
Anus explosion deathmatch.
That's somewhere down the road. We're not talking about that right now.
That's my stipulation.
Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe. All the information down in the description. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, all that fun stuff. Be sure to check out all the other videos that are going to be in the playlist. We got the Raw review, the midweek wrap-up, indie news, and the SmackDown rundown.
They're all there.
Yeah, be sure to check out the Facebook. We've got daily WWE trivia. We got weekend trivia questions, all kinds of stuff. So be sure to do all that stuff. Check out the videos. Comment. Talk about who you think should have won out of Dean Ambrose and Edge.
Do it.
Am I right? Am I wrong? Tell me why. And
you're usually wrong.
Except for when I win.
Pick a different video. Why you gotta say that?
Because it's not like they don't know by now.
Can you believe this guy?
Believe that.